Now, the show dedicated to rebuilding Washington, D.C.'s metropolitan housing and credit markets with the timely, trusted advice you need to make the right decisions. This is the Todd Laborowitz Show.
Good afternoon. As your friend and host, Todd Laborowitz, I'm privileged to share every Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. with you on the Todd Laborowitz Show, which is part of the Real Estate Radio Network here on Salem Broadcast, WRC 1260 AM. And we're going to start with Jeff Santarita. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, good to be here.
Great, thanks for coming. Maxbuilt is your company.
Yes.
And you guys are a full-service general contractor specializing in residential and commercial remodeling and construction.
That's right.
Okay. And so it looks here like you have a lot of services. It might be easier to ask you what you don't do, but I see here you do bathrooms, kitchen remodeling, you do additions, finished basements, tile, painting, built-in and exterior remodeling. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I've learned over the years that we stick with the things that we're good at, and the other things that other people do better, we always have subcontractors to cover those bases. And of course, electrical and plumbing are things that we always have outside contractors that we've been working with for a long time.
Okay. I was also on your website for Maxbuilt, and it's, I guess it was Facebook. You have a lot of pictures in there.
Right.
And everything's so detail-oriented. How do you, are the homeowners coming up with that, or is that something you just gained over experience and you said, hey, how would you like this?
Well, it's kind of a collaboration between myself and the homeowner. If they're comfortable doing the selections of their materials for their kitchens or bathrooms or whatever their project is, then they'll do that. But sometimes I'll step in and I'll, suggest other things for them. And it works great together because, between the two of us, and we have designers and interior decorators also that we work with. It turns out to be a good project.
So what I'd like to do is walk through what it's like with a client. But before we get to that, I'd like to know more about you.
Okay.
And I ask all these people the question. It's not an embarrassing question. Hope you're prepared.
Right.
Is there anything unique about you, such as hobbies or organizations you belong to? Like, tell us more about Jeff Santarita.
Well, I've been doing this since I was 17 years old, and I've started doing building when I was 17 years old. I was working with a company building decks. I figured out that I like doing carpentry, and
so it started out being a hobby for you.
It started out, yeah, because when you first start off, you never really get paid that much because you're the grunt, and you just do it because it's a job. But I figured out that I liked doing it, and I wanted to to stick with that and try to make a career out of it. And eventually, it grew. And the longer you've been doing it, the better you get, and the more you get paid. Perfect.
And what I noticed on LinkedIn, this January you're going to be in business 30 years.
Yes.
Wow, that's an accomplishment.
Yep. I've been doing it for almost 30 years, and I've been in business for over 10. And we have lots of experience with the guys that I have working with us, and a lot of those guys have more experience than I do. Okay.
Well, let's get into the business part of it. As far as the history of being a contractor, I mean, you got a 30-year spread. Like, what type of jobs do you love? What type of jobs? Tell me just more about you.
Well, we like doing a lot of interior work. We pride ourselves in doing detailed jobs with using really great materials that will come together in the end and really give you a great look for a kitchen and bathroom. And we do a lot of thinking before we actually put the materials down, and we work with customers to help find out what their budget is, and we give them the project that they like at the right budget and the right look.
Okay. Well, speaking of budgets, financing, when you go in and do a job, it's not like a lot of people just say, here's a check and here you go.
Right.
Are you financing those jobs? Or are you asking them to go out and get financing? Or is it all
Well, we don't finance the jobs. I have people that I know that work in banking that they can get loans with if they wanted to do that, or if they have a mortgage person that they work with. Sometimes they refinance and pull money out that way to do a job. But most of the time they have the financing all set up by the time I get involved with them.
Okay, and then when you have an agreement or a contract with a homeowner, are you doing the normal 1/3 down, and then when the job is completed, the other 2/3?
Right. Well, it's 1/3 down, and then most of the time there's 3 payments. On the bigger jobs, you have about 5 payments from beginning to end.
So it's kind of like it progresses as it goes.
Right.
As phases are done, you'll get paid.
Exactly, yeah. At a certain stage, you get another check.
Okay. And then as far as being on the site, is it something that you just sell and then you send a crew out and they do it, or how is it supervised?
Well, I have a lot of I guess, I come in and I talk with the customer a lot during the job. I don't really do that much of it hands-on. I do some of it, but a lot of it is done by the other guys that I have that I have just as much experience or better knowledge on certain things than I do. But I am involved with the customer from beginning to end. And, anytime there's a question or a meeting that we need to have, we like to have meetings, throughout the job just to make sure everything's going smooth and the communication stays open. Okay,
so you're always keeping the lines of communication open with all your customers.
Right. And there's always changes that happen. So, I always make sure that I'm available for them. That way, if there's changes, everyone understands what's going to be changed.
Because it blows my mind with, you're a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the business a little bit.
Right.
From years ago. And to be as public as we are with the computers and the internet, there's nothing but raving reviews about you. There's no complaints. There's no nothing. You got years of experience, and it's like you're just walking this great path. Well, what do you think your secret formula is?
Any contractor is going to have problems from time to time. But my theory on the whole thing is that as long as you address the problem as soon as it comes up and you fix the problem right away, that everyone has a pretty forgiving heart when it comes to things that don't go their way. And as long as you resolve the problem right away, then usually everyone's okay with it.
Okay, because you got a great system. I hear great things about you, and it's all over the internet, too.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we try our best.
But moving on to another question is the timeline when a job is completed.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people, they got to be without a kitchen for probably like 30 days, and they find out that they're out of a kitchen for 6 months because they're waiting for a washer or a washing machine or something to come.
Right.
That's in the kitchen. Sink.
Well, part of what we do is when we order when talking about kitchens specifically, we will order everything ahead of time and make sure that it's delivered, and we check everything to make sure that everything comes in right, it's not damaged, it's the right sizes, we have the right amount of cabinets, we have everything else set up so that when the job starts and we take the kitchen apart, we already have all the cabinets and everything that are there ready to go in so that there's no delays.
It sounds pretty basic. You got it all down. But it's just an easy system. It seems like you do. Well, by the way, if you're just tuning in, I have with me Jeff Santarita from Maxbuilt. I am your host, Todd Laborwit, and you are listening to Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. What I want to get back to is guarantees. I remember back in my days, it was kind of like whenever there was a complaint, there was the contractor that installed it blamed it on the material, and the people with the material said it was the contractor's fault. Mm-hmm. How do you handle that with your customers and the guarantees so they don't get stuck in this whirlwind?
Right. Well, with most contractors, by law, they have to offer a 1-year guarantee for anything they do. If the contractor provides the material, most of the time the material will be replaced by the contractor if it's defective, and the customer doesn't have to get involved. And if the customer provides the materials, and they will normally have to pay for the replacement of that and the reinstallation.
Okay. And what makes you different or better than your competition?
Well, we really pride ourselves on detail. We make sure that everything is right. A lot of communication with the customer every step of the way to make sure that things look good before we move on to the next phase of the project. We always make sure that we go through and check everything. Anything that could potentially go wrong, we always check that beforehand and make sure the customer's on board with anything that's coming up.
So you're always doing the final walkthrough?
Yes.
Okay. And what areas do you cover in the Washington, D.C. metro area? How far out will you go?
Well, most of our work is in Montgomery County, Rockville, Silver Spring, Bethesda, Chevy Chase. All those areas are where we cover. We do some areas in northern D.C., and we also go up to Frederick and Howard County.
Okay, great. And then as far as this flood that we've had this past week, my phone was blaring all over the place with floods. I don't know if that was happening to you or other people.
It is.
But can you tell me anything, like what have you been seeing out there as far as replacements? I'm sure you deal with a lot of flood repairs.
Yeah, it's funny with flood repairs. Normally, the phone doesn't start ringing for a couple days because they have to talk with their insurance companies first and find out what the next step is. But with my current customers, normally they'll call me first if they have an emergency that we need to take care of, like pulling water out of their basement. I'll come over and I'll give them priority. I'll show up. We were at a customer's house until 10 o'clock when the flood initially happened.
Wow.
And we try to take care of everyone as quick as we can, because I know there's going to be more people behind them, and we just do what we can at the time that it comes in.
So are you going out there before the claim adjuster goes out there, or do you have to wait till after the claim adjuster goes out?
Well, I'll go out before the claim adjuster, but if it is going to be a claim through their insurance company, then most of the time they need to wait until the adjuster comes back with his report before we know what we need to fix.
What kind of damage are you seeing?
A lot of pumps that fail in the basement. A lot of people that have water coming through.
Well, when we get back, we're going to have with us Jody Anderson with Aligi Anderson, and we're going to talk about estate planning, one of my favorite topics to talk about. And we'll be right back after these messages.
You don't go through life with a paralyzing fear every time you have a financial transaction. So why is applying for a mortgage so scary? At Topaz Mortgage with Todd Laborwit, it is about educating and empowering you to get from point A to point B. Todd provides you with his exact closing cost, best interest rate, then invites you to shop around. Plus, if you call with questions, Todd picks up with the answers. Learn more at whytopaz.com. They are industry experts that care. Topaz Mortgage, NMLS 131548, licensed by the Virginia State Corporation Commission, MC 5344, Washington, D.C., MLB 131548, Maryland 18330, Todd Laborwit, NMLS 131497.